Joining us now is Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. He sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Thanks so much for being with us, Congressman. We've talked to you for the last several years. You've been part of the majority. Yeah. You're about to be part of the minority, which I think will be the first time for you.
Yeah, I got elected in 2010, so that's right when we took the majority.
So what happened?
I don't know. You know, I think we saw this coming. I mean, if you look at every election in the past, with the exception of Clinton after failed impeachment and George W. Bush, the party in power lost seats. We saw it coming. I also think we need to do a better job of reaching out to people my age, reaching out to people in the suburban area of the country, and we paid for that. You know, there were it was interesting. So there were areas of the country where the election results for Republicans weren't that bad, and then you saw areas like Illinois where it was a path for Republicans. So I think as we look back over the next couple months, we'll figure out, and I hope we can really kind of get to heart with what our message needs to be and how can we achieve some big things for this country. We've achieved some really big things, I think, in the last couple of years, but now we have an obligation, I hope, to work with Democrats moving forward, and I hope they realize they have an obligation to work with us, too.
They say yes. I mean, they say infrastructure, among other things.
Yeah.
Is that an area?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think if they're willing, it's really going to be on Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. Are they willing? Do they want to work with the president? And then the president has to ask, okay, am I willing to work with a Democratic majority? And if both sides say yes, I think infrastructure is an easy one to get to. Here's the thing I'm concerned about, though, is like in January 5th, 2020 elections are going to infect the whole system. And so we have to be able to say, okay, we don't necessarily care who gets credit. Let's just do some big things for the country.
I can't believe you say it's going to wait until January 5th.
Yeah, it's actually started today.
We've done two segments on 2020 already here today. The president blamed, to a certain extent, the loss of some of these House races on some of your House Republican colleagues. I want to play for you what he said about Mia Love from Utah.
Mia Love gave me no love, and she lost. Too bad. Sorry about that, Mia.
Now, for the record, we haven't called that race yet. They're still counting votes out there. Ryan Costello, retiring member, a friend of yours from Pennsylvania, said in a tweet that the president was pissing on Republican members. What did you see there?
I was disgusted when I heard it happen. I mean, these are members that in their districts are reflecting their district. Some of them lost because people were frankly voting against the president. And I think if the president would have shown some more grace in that and said, you know, we're going to miss them, but thank you for their service, instead of it's because you didn't back me. Now, I can tell you a lot of these folks, Mia Love backed the president a lot. And that may have cost her if she ends up losing. I know it's still open. So a little more grace would have been a lot better. I was very disgusted when I heard that. And I'm like, well, let's go forward and look at how we're going to do better in 2020.
One of the things that might happen with the Democratic majority is there might be more oversight. There might be more focus inside the House of Representatives on the various investigations. The president has appointed Matt Whitaker to be acting attorney general. Eric Swalwell, a Democratic member from California, said, we're not going to allow the president to kill this Russia investigation by hiring an assassin like Matt Whitaker to take it out.
You know, if we're gonna call out the president for some of his tweets and words, we have to be fair. And Eric, I know him. I like him personally, but he has this history of just inflammatory tweets. This is one of those. If they try to fire Mueller, there'll be a battle in the House and the Senate. I don't think that's going to happen.
Do you think Whitaker, though, might try to hamper the investigation or starve it of funds? And if he does, will you take action?
I'll tell you, well, I mean, yeah, if they try to shut down this investigation, there's a lot of us that will. I don't think it's happening. And I think there's all this, like, people are ginned up and upset about something that's not coming. But that is an inflammatory tweet by Swallow. He needs to be called out for that, too. And frankly, if we can all move forward and get along, that's great. If not, at least let's tone down the rhetoric. Both sides, our side, Democratic side, and actually give the American people a functioning political system.
You were a very active member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, so I want to hit 2 points on foreign policy that are really important this morning. Jamal Khashoggi, there is this audio tape that the New York Times is now reporting this morning that basically says one of the people on the ground involved with the murder of Jamal Khashoggi basically said, transmit to our boss that the job was done. The evidence just keeps piling up that the Crown Prince had knowledge of it, may have directed it, certainly was connected to it. Has the time long passed for the president to take direct action against the Saudi Crown?
Well, I think there needs to be action. Now, here's where my concern is. Whatever that is, it's going to be maybe some sanctions on travel, whatever. We cannot fundamentally shift foreign policy based on this one terrible thing, right? The same guy, for instance, Rand Paul talks about how, fundamentally change our whole relationship with Saudi Arabia, he's been advocating that for a very long time, is the same guy that's saying that we need to lift sanctions against Russia. By the way, Russia killed 2 people with chemical weapons in the United Kingdom, and they killed journalists. So let's not pretend like that, there's other people that are holy in this. This is terrible on Saudi Arabia. There needs to be a cost, period.
Regime change?
But we cannot, no. But we cannot fundamentally shift our relationship with Saudi Arabia based on this terrible thing. Because I'll tell you what, Iran, there are 50,000 dead children in Syria, that Iran has blood on their hands. Saudi's the counter to Iran.
North Korea, David Sanger wrote an article in the New York Times yesterday which shined a spotlight on the fact that they are building and still operating secret missile sites throughout the country of all kinds of ranges, including missiles that may be able to carry nuclear warheads. This does not appear to be the denuclearization that the United States wants.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we knew these existed. Now we're starting to get them located. It's getting to be time where I think we run out of patience with North Korea. I was fine with the president kind of doing this, I guess, different way of diplomacy because we don't want war in Korea. So anything we can do. But if it gets to where what it's looking like now, Kim Jong-un is just buying time. China's violating the sanctions, so is Russia. And we're kind of going back to status quo while they run towards nuclear weapons. We need to be finding ourselves taking a tougher position again. Nobody wants war with Korea. But if you're not willing to have a military option on the table, diplomacy against an adversary will not and rarely ever work. So I think if it's that time, we need to start getting on a stronger diplomatic footing. And I trust Mike Pompeo and the president to do that, and the time's approaching near.
We will see. Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, thanks. Nice to see you in person. Welcome.
Thanks.
Come back.
Take care.